Namaste and welcome to React Bits. In today's session, we are going to learn about FlutterFire plugins, setting them up from scratch in our Flutter project. I have previously made videos around FlutterFire integrations with authentication, Firestore, etc. But recently, the FlutterFire ecosystem has gone through huge changes. So I would like to create this updated tutorial in order to account for those changes, where we will integrate various Flutter and Firebase services in our Flutter application. Flutter Firebase plugins now have a homepage. You can see this firebase.flutter.dev. It has a nice documentation. If you see the homepage, we can see that quite a few plugins have now been stable. These are stable and some of them are in beta. One of them, AppCheck, is still in preview. AdMob is deprecated. Instead, we should use Google Ads plugin. MLKit Vision is also deprecated. I think ML Custom is the replacement coming for that, which is still in beta. And each set of plugins now have a proper documentation for Flutter. We don't have to go through Firebase documentation trying to figure out how to make it work in Flutter. If we go to get started, it even has a code lab walkthrough and some other installation, platform setup, initialization, all these informations here. Like for example, we can go to installation. We see that we need to add Firebase core now. Then we can perform Android, iOS. If we go to iOS setup, we see that we need to generate configuration file and then add files to runner. We need to add Google Service Info.plist, enabling the use of Firebase Emulator Suite in iOS. So there are quite a few things. And the documentation is now up to date. If you follow this documentation properly, if you read and follow the documentation properly, you'll not even have to watch this video, and I don't mind. You need to make a habit of learning documentation, using documentation as your friend, not get overwhelmed by them. So in today's video, we will set up Firebase and set up authentication and Cloud Firestore. Let us get started by creating a Flutter project. Let me open up Visual Studio Code. Here, I'll create a new Flutter project, new application project. I'll save it. I'll name it FlutterFire 2021. Yes, trust. It's creating my project. It will take some time. Now, the first thing to do is in pubspec.yaml, we need to add Firebase core dependency. So for that, I'll use the VS Code extension, pubspec assist extension, Firebase core. Let me zoom in. So it has added the Firebase core dependency. I'll also use remove comment extension to remove all the comments. Let me just clean this up. Okay, looks much better now. So we added the Firebase core dependencies. Next, we need to add the Firebase configuration. So I'll show it for Android as I am on Linux right now. For that, first we need the application ID for this project that we can get from Android build.gradle, Android app build.gradle. If we go down here, we can get the application ID. Let me copy this and let's go to Firebase console. You need to create a project and there you can add an app. So when you have a project, you can add an app, select Android and then name package name. Let's name it FlutterFire 2021. If you want, you can add the debug SHA1 so that you can use Google sign in. So you need to add SHA hash in order to use the Google sign in. We can add the SHA key later. We can add it for our debug keys, our release keys. We can do it later. Next, we need to download this. Download. It's downloaded in my downloads folder. Let me just copy this and take it to my project folder. And inside Android app, I need to paste this Google service.json file. Okay, so let's go back to our project. We should have our Google service.json file here. So in build.gradle Android app, I need to enable multi-dex. So here I need to do enable true, and also we need to add Firebase configuration. So another build.gradle in Android under dependencies, I need to add this Google services, and also in build.gradle at the end I need to add this apply plugin, and then we need to enable multi-dex. In order to enable multi-dex, we added this. So this requires one more change to the dependency here. So here like this, we added the Firebase core in our main.dart. Let me again remove all comments. Here I need to import Firebase core, and then in main I need to make this async, and here I need to call this function. When I make this async, I need to make sure that it's initialized, Flutter binding is initialized, and then I need to call await Firebase.initialize app. So here we are initializing our Firebase application. After this, we have set up Firebase core service so that we can now use other dependencies like Cloud Firestore, authentication, etc. So let me add those two for now. So let's add Cloud Firestore, and we'll be using the null safe version, Cloud Firestore, and then also Firebase authentication, Firebase Auth 1.4.1. So I can pull this here. Let me update my home page so that I can quickly demonstrate the authentication. Let me create a new home page. Where I'll add a simple login button. Let's make it login, and I'll hard code the user ID and password. Inside authentication, I'll add an user. I'll create test user, and I'll save the password as test. Add user so that I can demonstrate login. Here I can use Firebase auth.instance sign in with email and password, and email will be test@testme.com and password will be test, right? Async, I can await this, and in the console I can print login successful. Okay, and I can do one more thing. In order to show whether or not user is logged in, I can do something like Firebase auth dot instance dot, so I can use stream builder and let's provide our stream. Stream will be Firebase auth dot instance dot auth state changes, and this should give data with context and async snapshot, and if here if has data, then return this is async snapshot user data. Okay, this snapshot and share. Let's give email, and this can be null, so user can be null. We need to check if it's not null. Let's make it, override it here. Email can also be null. Let's override this as well because we know it's email based user. If data is not equal to null, else we can return not logged in. And if a snapshot doesn't have data, again text not logged in. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I have a button, and when I press it, I call Firebase auth instance dot sign in with email and password, and we try to sign in with email and password that we just created in Firebase console authentication. If it's successful, we print login successful. And here in a stream builder, we are listening to the auth state changes, and whenever it changes, this builder updates, and if we get the user back, then we show the user's email, otherwise we display not logged in. And let me open up my Android emulator and let's build this project. F5. If everything goes well, this should build and I should be able to log in. And this is super simple. So integrating authentication or integrating Firebase plugin right now with all the updated packages and plugins, it's quite simple. And their documentation, the new documentation at firebase.flutter.dev is quite extensive. You should be able to get much help from there. See, we now see that login button and information that user is not logged in. And if I tap login, sure enough, we get here login successful, and also our listener has updated and we get the user's email here. So this is how simple it is to set up Firebase authentication. Now we tend to not use this directly like this. We probably will use any state management solution of our choice and handle the login authentication, sign up, all those in our using our state management solution. Now next, Cloud Firestore, we have already added it and we can make a simple request. So let's add another button that will create a document in our Firestore. So let me duplicate this. Let's make this create document, and here instead of this I'll use Firebase Firestore.instance dot collection. I'll name the collection demo dot add, and let's add data. So let's just add email and name, and let's await this, and finally print here document added. Let's save this. Now if I tap this create doc button, let's clear the console and tap create doc button, document, I get document added. So we can create a document. Now we can show the document here as well. Let's use stream builder again. Stream builder, where stream will be Firebase Firestore instance dot collection. Our collection will be like this, demo dot snapshots. Initial data, we don't want any initial data. And finally in snapshot we check if snapshot.has data, then we return this container, otherwise we return circular progress indicator. And in container, let's see, so this will be the snapshot, query snapshot, snapshot dot data. So this data will be query snapshot docs list view. Let's use list view children, and here we'll use data map doc, and if doc.exists return list style title text doc.data email. So I can post this as map string dynamic like this email if it exists. If it doesn't, I just want to return sized box height 0, and here this should have return. If I save now, it loaded but it did not show anything because, okay, let me wrap this inside a container. So we are already inside a list view. Let's make this shrink wrap true, and physics never scrollable physics, so that this is not scrolled. So we can, sure enough, we can see one email here. Let me add another document. This time I'll make test one. Okay, I can show the name instead, name and email. So in the title I'm showing email, here I'll show name, and I can duplicate this and make this subtitle. I can show name, email. So let's add another data, and if I tap create doc, I should see another data. So this is how easy it is to integrate and use Firebase Cloud Firestore with the updated Firestore plugins or updated FlutterFire plugin ecosystem. So in order to create new document, we can simply call add to our collection, and there are much more to this. Much more changes have been introduced. I will cover them in a separate video where I'll tackle Firestore separately and Firebase authentication separately. But for now, using this simple guide, I hope you'll be able to integrate Firebase in your new projects with null safety enabled, so that you can work with Flutter and Firebase in your newest Flutter application. I hope this was useful. Thank you everyone for watching. See you again in the next episode.